You're listening to the Snob OS podcast, the podcast for Apple snobs. Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
And welcome back to the Snob OS show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We are back for another episode. This is episode 343 of the Snob OS show. And up on this week's show, we're going to talk about more discounts when you use Apple Pay, talking about an Apple TV music and gaming outage. Talking about Tim Cook going to Washington to dispute or plead his case for why age verification should not be done on an iPhone. Talk about Apple warning users not to use Google Chrome. We're going to talk about the Diddy Doc recap, and I'm going to show you how to customize your macOS folders. So we're going to jump right into the show, and we always start with the lowdown where we talk all things Apple. And since it's the holidays, I figured I would put this in here. This is a quick hit. But if you are a Mattel fan, specifically a Mattel Creations fan, and this is like, you're not your average big box toys that you would find that are made by Mattel. These are a little bit more niche, a little bit more specific, a little more personalized. You know, these are not your average toys that you're going to find in the store. But if you go to the website is creations.mattel.com, they are offering a deal that is offering you 30% off your purchase of select items when you use Apple Pay. Of course, you got to use the code or promo code Apple Pay. It's not automatic. You do have to enter the coupon code Apple Pay. But if you do that, it'll give you 30% off. But specifically, the deal ends December 14th. So you've got this weekend.
A couple days.
If you're listening to this on Friday, you've got a couple days left before you can actually go to the Mattel Creations website. And I ain't never been to the Mattel Creations website. So I thought it was going to be some super expensive stuff like $300 for a custom doll or $250 for a special vintage toy or something like that. Nope. They've got not regular. You can tell they are not sold in stores, but they are toys. I would say this would be toys for like if I was a car collector, right? And I collected big cars, big old school cars or something like that. And you wanted to get me a miniaturized version. You could go to Mattel Creations and they've got miniature versions of cars. Now it's not going to have all the cars, but you know, that's type of stuff you find. You find like specific dolls, like they've got a Ursula doll from like
Little Mermaid.
Yes, Little Mermaid, you know, stuff.
Oh, they have a She-Ra doll.
Yeah, right. So they've got stuff that has made a name for themselves as far as Mattel toys, you know, things that are uber popular, but not stuff that you would find if I went to Target, right? So,
this is neat. They have the Clueless dolls. They have like a Cher doll and a Dion. Oh, this is cute. This is neat. And it's kind of like what we talked about last week where they had like the case for like the Mac Pro case for like a Mac Mini. So like very niche type of things. If they have a Venus Williams doll on here. So different types of toys on here for your niche person, or if they have like a special interest. This is kind of neat.
And they're not expensive too. That was my ultimate point. No, you can find stuff on here for as little as $30 and it goes up from there. I've seen something as expensive as $100, but it ain't crazy expensive. What I thought it was going to be $400, but it's actually, you know, reasonably priced stuff. But for not like a kid, it would be like for an adult that loves Venus Williams, right?
Yeah.
You can go buy her a Venus Williams doll or him a Venus Williams doll for like $50. And then you get 30% off that. Again, if you use Apple Pay and you use the promo code Apple Pay.
This is an actual deal. 30% is a significant number. an actual deal, not this
10%
10,
off or
15.
free shipping,
Yeah.
something like that. It's all right. We do better, right?
Right.
All right, moving on to the next story. Did you notice that Apple Music or Apple TV or Apple Arcade is down?
When was this supposed to go down? I haven't been on Apple Music today. Today's been like a super busy day. So I haven't been on it today. I haven't even turned on the TV today.
Hmm.
Um, so I haven't noticed it because I haven't used it.
Well, according to Lifehacker, Apple Music, Apple TV, and Game Center appear to have been down as early as Wednesday, but
Oh,
I don't see any sort of update. I have to go do a little bit more research. But as far as when was this story? On December 10th, which was what, earlier this week?
that
Well,
was yesterday.
yesterday, right? Yesterday, according to the story, Apple Music outage started at 2:53 on Wednesday. Apple TV channels went down as 2:53 yesterday. Same thing with general Apple TV. Game Center, it looks to be resolved, but that was down as early as 2:53 p.m. on Wednesday. But it looks like it was resolved. Again, I haven't experienced these
I
issues.
haven't either.
I was on Apple Music, I mean, for a very short amount of time, but maybe an hour ago, I was listening. Well, let me take that back. Let me take that back. It was music that I downloaded,
So it wasn't streamed.
so it wasn't streamed. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's the difference or not, but I could use it. I haven't played around with Apple TV and see if Apple TV, the box, of course it's not because I can watch TV. I watch
Yeah.
all my TV through Apple TV set top box, but it's through YouTube TV. So
So
I don't.
I'm on the status page,
Mhm,
where it kind of lists the system um, uh, availability of all of Apple systems,
mhm,
and it says it has it highlighted. It says Apple Music. It was resolved yesterday, and it was
mhm.
down from 2:53 p.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
Apple
So
TV, the same thing. Um, Game Center, the same thing. So it looks like it was down.
for about a couple
Game
hours.
Center, it looks like it went down twice. So
Mhm,
it went down that morning from 8:45 to 9:15. Then it
mhm,
came back up, then it went back down again when all the other services went back down. But it says some users, so it wasn't a widespread outage. It looked like it
mhm.
was centralized, but they don't say, what the particular issue is. So
All right. Well, y'all let us know out there if you were affected by this Apple Music, Apple TV, and Game Center outage. Apparently, I wasn't. So at least I got out with the best of them.
unscathed.
Yeah. So let us know if you were affected by any of these outages. All right, moving on to the next story. Again, like I mentioned at the top, Tim Cook has been seen in Washington D.C. as early as yesterday, and he met with lawmakers to push back against the proposed App Store age policy that Apple say doesn't protect user privacy. Basically, he met with the House Committee on Energy and Commerce and to express his concerns. There is a App Store Accountability Act that, if turned into law, would legally make Apple responsible for age verification through the App Store. Apple's position has said the company maintains, I'll just read it, the quote, the
Okay.
company maintains that parents should be the ones to provide a child's age when setting up an account and says any age assurance measures should focus on confirming that the adult establishing the account is actually an adult. So basically, what this law would say is Apple, regardless of who has the phone or who has the device or who creates the account, needs to be age verified by Apple. Apple is saying, we're not your parents. We just provide the device, we just provide the service. The person who owns it shoulders the responsibility of making sure they're of age. If they're underage and they can't log into Apple services, they can't create an Apple ID. I think you got to be 13, I
Mhm.
think.
I think it's 13.
If you're not 13 and you get your hands on a phone and you're trying to create an Apple ID and you can't, your parents or a guardian or your whatever
Mhm.
should be responsible for making sure you're of age. So that way, according to Apple, that way, and this is the crux, right? If something happens, like your kid gets scammed or worse, it ain't our responsibility. We
Right.
just provide the device and the phone. It's the parent who set that up, or the person who set that up needs to verify their own age, right? But
Right.
of course, these laws that are being pushed, because a lot of things have been going on with kids as far as online privacy, online safety and security.
Mhm.
The government is saying, hey, you own the device, you make the device, you own the service. So therefore, anybody that tries to utilize that service, you need to be responsible or accountable. Better question, a better phrase.
Mhm.
You are accountable for anybody that signs up for these services to age verify. So what say you?
So it sounds like Tim Cook is trying to um, capitalize or recoup
I was thinking
some
the same
of the
thing. I was thinking
some
the
of
same thing.
some of all of the pandering that he's done to this administration. He's trying to get a little bit of get back
That's just what I
on
was gonna
that.
say.
And that's
Mhm.
what this looks like. And it's
Mhm.
probably why he's done some of the things he's done, because he's seen down the line what's coming. And he's like, let's build up some goodwill. So now he's
Mhm.
trying to spend those
Uh-huh.
goodwill bucks on
Trying to
this.
call in them favors.
Right, right. I don't think it's gonna help, because I don't think this administration cares. They got what they wanted, and now they're on to the next thing. And if they want this is what they're gonna get.
I don't
Uh,
understand why Tim Cook and them didn't recognize that from the word jump,
they didn't. They had to know this was a grift.
because
This
he
man
been
is a
doing it.
grifter,
He's been doing it, shafting people that he's business partners
and
or
this is before he got into the White House. This is when he was just citizen.
I don't know why they thought, and not just Tim Cook. I'm talking about
All
all
of them.
these tech bros, all these companies, all these brands. I just saw
Because
that
he's gonna stab you in the back.
I just so just the the ingratiating and the placating, like for instance, like
Oh,
FIFA.
the FIFA thing.
Yeah. We're about to go on a tangent, right?
Tangent alert.
So FIFA is next year. FIFA World
Yeah,
Cup. It happens every 4 years. United States,
is
North
hosting.
America
North
specifically,
America is hosting. So Canada, United States, and Mexico.
right, is hosting games for the FIFA World Cup.
Mhm.
And when they announced the draw, meaning all the teams that's going to participate in all the brackets,
Mhm.
as their special presentation, they presented Donald Trump with a FIFA Peace Prize, which is a gold trophy and a medal.
This
And
they just made it up. This is the first time it's ever happened.
the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize, and they've given it to
Why
Donald
would a
Trump
football organization have a peace prize? I don't know, but
because they
I
are
know why. But yeah,
because he Donald Trump wanted the Nobel
Nobel.
Peace Prize, and they was like, nah, that ain't happening. So FIFA was like, here's what we gonna do to make it to grease the palms. We're gonna give him a FIFA Peace Prize. So, bringing it back to the story,
Yeah.
earlier this year, Tim Cook goes to Washington and gives him this weird gold thing.
Hmm.
Pays what $1 million. Tim Cook himself gives
Personally,
the campaign $1 million, I think it
to the
was.
inauguration fund, and I
Right,
think they
right.
gave money to this ballroom
10
that nobody
right.
ain't gonna build.
Then
Yeah,
they pledged $10 billion and bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States, and all
all this crap,
this glazing is what the young
as the kids
kids are saying.
say.
And now it seems as if Tim Cook is trying to call in, hey, I scratched your back. Now I
Time
need
to
you to
scratch mine.
reciprocate. Little does he know,
He is ass out.
I don't think this trip is going to go the way he thinks it is. It
No,
could be wrong. Maybe that's just how bureaucracy and government works and nowadays, and we just not privy to it. Maybe he knows something we don't.
I think
Maybe it
typically,
works.
but not with this group.
Not with this group. So we shall see
Yeah,
if Tim Cook is able to pull this off after presenting all that quote, air quote, goodwill
right. And the
earlier
topic
in administration.
And the actual topic at hand is I actually agree with him on this. It
Hmm.
shouldn't be up to a company to do this type of verification.
Hmm.
In this country, we come to a point where nobody wants to be accountable.
Accountable. Yep.
Nobody wants to have ownership. It's always putting it off on someone else, because if the kid or something happens to them, it's not my fault. Even though
Mm-hmm.
you're the parent, even though you're purchasing these things for these kids,
Mm-hmm.
even though you're enabling this,
Yes.
because my kid need to have a phone, because if
Right.
they're in school, they need to be able to get a hold of me, or
Mm-hmm.
XYZ, or this, that, and the third. But then when it comes time to be responsible for whether your kid is actually bullying someone, or
Or being
actually,
bullied. Uh-huh.
yeah, or they got, now it's like stalking kids, and
Mm-hmm.
cyber, like porn, or
Mm-hmm.
sexting, and all
Mm-hmm.
these different things. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
wants to be accountable for these things.
Not even the parents, which is
Not,
crazy.
and that's the point. These are things, when it comes to age verification, when it comes to what your child does on their device, that
Mm-hmm.
you, the parent, purchase them or enable them, whether it be gift from someone else, you had to take them to get these things.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have a phone plan. They're under 13. I mean, hell, under 18. They can't procure a cell phone service.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing all of that. So
Mm-hmm.
why don't you want to take that accountability?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want anything to be your fault. But
Right.
that's not how things work. That's
You took on the responsibility
right.
when you bumped uglies with your partner.
Right.
This is now
This is a
you are
part
on the
of
hook.
that.
Now you're on the hook. Now, having
Yeah.
said that, Apple does need to do a better job of scrubbing the app store of some of these malicious apps that
Yes.
are causing people to get scammed, that are causing kids to get into trouble as far as their privacy and their security,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. Apple definitely needs to do a better job of that, because they are letting some things into the app store and
Which was
blocking some.
once like unheard of.
Right. And now they're starting to block like apps like this whole ingratiating thing, right?
Yeah.
Go back to the Ice
Ice
Block
block.
app. Right.
Yeah.
Apple blocked that app from the App Store for my speculation to further
Themselves. Yep.
ingratiate themselves to this administration
Yeah.
who is on this tear of late, trying to attack these immigrants and people who are here trying to make a living for themselves
Right.
legally, and they are pushing hard. So again, let's just hope it works,
And
because
the
if
thing is,
it don't.
honestly, I'm not sure if it is, because it talks in the article from 9 to 5 Mac, it talks about it's an App Store Accountability Act. So
Mhm,
this is going through Congress, which
mhm,
is the typical process of how these things get done. Will we look outside of how this current administration works? The way our government is supposed to work is that it's supposed to go through Congress. This guy has been bypassing all this and doing his own thing.
mhm.
Now that there is an actual act that's going through the proper channels, Tim Cook is trying to go through the proper channels, but all the greasing of the wheels that he did, I don't think that's going to help him in this case, because my assumption is, what is it? It's the Energy Committee.
It said it's the House Committee on Energy and Commerce.
Right. And so on these committees, they have both Democratic and
Mhm,
Republican representation.
mhm,
And it has to pass by, in order to get out of committee, it has to have a certain amount of Republicans and Democrats to agree to push it forward to the full Congress. Now, he's trying to work this from a different angle than what he came in as. If he was trying to really grease some wheels, he should have been handing over some money to these
to these specific
congressmen.
people sitting on these
Right.
committees.
So I don't think all the glazing that he's done is going to help him in this instance,
Mhm.
unless Donald Trump comes out and says, I don't want this to pass. Then his Republican buddies would be like, okay,
Or Donald Trump wants more, because when somebody
when you start giving,
blackmails
it's
you,
never enough.
they're never going to be like, all right, this
It's
just one
enough.
time, we're good. They always going to play. So
Especially when you have endless money like Apple does.
listen. I hope that I hope they barking up the right tree.
I don't think they are, but we'll see.
All right. Enough of that. I just wanted to do this last story. Apple, I don't know if they're being petty or they are legitimate, but they are warning Apple users using Apple devices, specifically iPhones, to not use Google Chrome, because according to Apple, We can protect your data. We can keep it safe. Google, they've got all these different things that they allow you to, or allow third party advertisers, allow marketers, allow all these people to do. We don't give up your stuff. We don't do any of that stuff, right? So I don't know if this is Apple being petty, or is this an actual thing, right?
Hmm.
So let me see if I can find these specific ones here. I'll just read this quote. Unlike Chrome, Safari truly helps protect your privacy. Safari works to prevent advertisers and websites from using the unique combination of characteristics of your device to create a quote fingerprint to track you. Um, Again, another one of the reasons why they're doing this is because Google is starting to roll out Gemini default into Google. They're baking it into Google Chrome to where when you open up Google Chrome on your iPhone or your Android and you think you're doing a web search like uh lawnmowers for sale near me, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think you hit enter and it's just going to give you a list of listings, whether they be Facebook Marketplace, whether they be Home Depot, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case may be, and you can click through and click to these websites. Nope. A lot of times now, you are automatically entering that query or that prompt, better, the
Mm.
prompt into Google, and it's spitting out this response. And it's
So
like, I
you
didn't
think you're
want that
adding it to the address bar, but what you're actually adding is into the context prompt.
into the
Interesting.
prompt field, right? So
Interesting.
Apple is saying they put this like they got this comparison, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fights tracking with machine learning. Safari does it, Google does not. Removes unique trackers from URLs and private browsing. Apple does that, Google does not. Hides your IP address from known trackers. Safari specifically does that, Google Chrome does not. Prevents web extensions from seeing your browsing by default. Apple, yes, Google, no. Does not share your location data with search engines. Safari does not, Google Chrome does. Blocks known trackers and private browsing. Apple blocks against that, Google does not. So Apple is laying out the case as to why you should use Safari. I'm wondering if that is legit or this is more shade from Apple against Google.
So I will say, I'm a Claude user. That's my preferred
And Claude is
L-
done by
Anthropic.
Anthropic. Okay.
So that's my preferred LLM.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes I'll use ChatGPT if I just want to verify or
Mm-hmm.
see, the accuracy of something to see if I'm kind of getting similar results. But my default is Claude. And I was on DTNS, I think earlier this week. I think it
Okay.
was earlier this week.
All right.
And Rob, he mentioned, oh yeah, there's a new version of Gemini out, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, really? And I haven't typically been a Gemini user. I didn't do any of the betas or any of the initial rollout. I was like, I got the one I like. I'm gonna go with it. And they were just talking about how good it was. So I was like, you know what? Let me go over there and try it and see, what it looks like. And so far, I'm definitely not switching, but from the way I've used it, it's given me some really good results and
Okay.
and
Okay.
feedback. So I think this is one of those things where Apple's AI, Apple Intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
is not on the same level
Mm-mm.
as your Anthropics, your OpenAIs, even though
Right.
they're partnered with OpenAI, but it's
Mm-hmm.
something, it has like a second layer you have to get through to be able to use
Mm-hmm.
it. And now you have Gemini that's coming out that's actually working really well and getting a lot of positive feedback. And like, whoa, 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 bro, no, you don't need to use this. You need to come back over here and stay over here to try and keep people from using Gemini by laying out all of these things that it's done. Now, this isn't new
Right.
to Safari,
Right.
these features, but now what they're doing is highlighting the
Mm-hmm.
difference to say, hey, you don't want to go over there because your identity is going to get stolen or people are
Mm-hmm.
going to be able to track you. They're kind of using a bit of the fear factor to say, no, you need to come on back home and stay over here. And I think it's like you mentioned, because of if Chrome is using Ask Gemini
Mm-hmm.
as a replacement,
What they call it, a hybrid AI browser is what they're calling
mm, but if it's baked in
it.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, why do I need to use, say, Safari for, my browsing and then have to switch over to Claude or ChatGPT or whatever you use to do a prompt. Well, I could just go over here and do both in one. That's stupid to have to use two different things, but I can use this one that has it
Use
all built in together. And it sounds
Chrome
like
app.
there's some shade going on there. And it's also some fear from Apple as well. It's like, wait a minute, we may be losing some people.
Mm-hmm. I personally, I don't use AI hardly that much. I think I may use it once a month, maybe. So this doesn't affect me. I prefer the safety and security of Safari. And then if I need to use a different app or service or whatever for my AI needs, I have no problem switching over. Again, I'm in the minority because it seems like a lot of people are using AI for regular everyday things. And I'm just not there yet, right? Which is why I'm so bummed out that Apple Intelligence didn't go as far as they claimed, because that would have been perfect for me, because the stuff that I want to use AI for, I want it to be more of a personal assistant versus just a fancy web search. That's what I think of chat prompts, is super fancy web search, right? If I need super fancy web search, I'll go get super fancy web search. Again, I'm not the target audience because, like you mentioned, for instance, in my family, my wife and my daughters, for the most part, use Chrome as the browser. They use Gmail, the apps, right? So they are going to be the people who will see this change when they go to use Google Chrome, when they go to use Gmail, when they go to use some of these other services that have AI baked in from Google. And they may be the ones to be like, oh, this is cool. I don't have to switch to Chat GPT. I don't have to
Right.
switch to Claude or whatever. Like you said, I can use Google Chrome and Gemini is baked in, so I can go one-stop shop. I could see definitely how Apple is
How that's
kind of
attractive.
have spooked about that, right?
Yeah.
But for them to, what do they call it? Fearmonger? I don't want to
Yeah.
call this fear mongering,
It definitely is.
but they are definitely highlighting, you can go over there if you want to. They're gonna steal all your
They will
data.
steal your identity
They gonna train they're gonna make money off of your data. You're
off
gonna be
your data. They're
entering all
using
these
you.
prompts. Yeah, they using you. Don't let them use you, right? We want to use you.
Right. So
But
stay over here so we can use you and not let
yeah.
them use you.
So Apple's gonna have to come up with something, because this I don't know if this is gonna hit like they think it is.
I don't think it is. People love convenience above all.
Mhm.
And I am convinced that people will sell their soul for convenience.
Yeah, buddy.
If it benefits them, they're like, you know what?
Mhm.
YOLO, it's fine.
Mhm.
It's all going to work out in the end. So,
Yep.
yeah.
I didn't put it in the show notes, but I'm starting to see Instagram and TikTok videos to where people are saying, hey, y'all got until the end of this year before Microsoft and Facebook and Google are going to start, and Meta are going to start using your data to train their models or whatever the case may be. Here's the steps you got to take to
Turn
opt
it
out.
off.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And you have to do it per app,
and
per
you got to do it in the
service.
browser. You can't
And
just do it on
it's
your
dug,
phone.
and to turn it off is deep.
Yeah.
And you got to go hunting for it.
Right. So, but me, I'm like, I'm not sold on AI, right?
Mm.
So if I'm not sold on AI, I'm not having you use my data and I'm not benefiting, right? So
I'm
I'm
sold on AI, and
yeah,
I'm still not letting
yeah,
you
okay.
use my data. I'm turning at every instance. I'm turning off, and I think for me, it's because I know what this can do, and
Mhm,
I know the impacts of it, and
mhm.
I don't want to be caught up in that.
Right,
Turn it
right.
off.
Yeah, yeah. So we shall see if this strategy from Apple works.
Right.
All right, enough of that. That is going to do it for the lowdown. We're going to move into second string, and I thought this was cool, and I just wanted to share it with all my Android folks. You can now share live video with 911 dispatchers. So if you ever get stuck somewhere, or you're ever in an accident, or you're ever injured, and you can't under your own power get help, first thing people do is call 911. But now, not following, keeping in line with Apple. Apple in the past, with iOS, as early as iOS 18 last year, shipped out a feature to where, in addition to doing satellite messaging, you can also share live, like a FaceTime call
Mhm.
almost. It's not exactly like that, but that's the general concept. If you can call 911 And if the dispatchers have the capability, you can click a button, share a live video. So you can show where you are. You can show them, what your injuries are. You can like give them some more information outside of just verbally talking to somebody. Fast forward to today, Google is doing the same thing. Google's implementation of the concept, like Apple's, lets an emergency response dispatcher respond to a call or text chat by sending an invitation for a live video call to your phone, which you can then accept and tap on the screen. So basically, what it does, they send that message, you click accept, opens up your camera, they can see what's going on, right? So I just wanted to put that out there because, again, that's a good feature. We've talked years and years and years since the inception of this show about how the Apple Watch and satellite messaging and automatic fall detection and all these features are sick. People are writing in like, this feature saved my life.
Yeah.
Right. So why should Apple have all the fun? So I think it's cool that Android is starting to integrate some of those things into their OS and their devices as well.
I don't know. Android users might not be too happy because they always say Apple is 2 years behind on features that they already have, and now the roles are reversed. They're not going to like that. But the feature in itself is definitely worth having.
Yeah.
Especially when you have the technology to do it. And it's a value add, and it's one of those things, again, we have these phones with us literally at all times. And if it's going to help save my life or save the life of someone that I care about or even a stranger, then inject into my veins.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't, man, I never really was on the iPhone is better, Android is better. I felt like I'm low key. I'm upset that BlackBerry and Windows Phone are gone. Because that would have been 4. That would have been iPhone, Android, Windows Phone, BlackBerry. That would have gave us enough competition and enough companies competing for our dollars that they would put out
these
better
phones
products.
Wouldn't be this high.
Now there's just iPhone and Android. They can pretty much do what they want. So
basically,
I feel like Android keeping up with Apple or Apple keeping up with iPhone on features at the very least. Dang, can a brother get some Android features and not feel some kind of way about it, man? I want some of the features too, right? And the same thing with Android people. I'm pretty sure they want the swiftness and the ease of use of FaceTime.
That's why they were so mad about the RCS, because they couldn't get iMessage.
Right. So that brings everybody together. So it's like, at least, with iPhone and Android, they're still trying to match each other's features because it's good for everybody.
Absolutely.
All right. So that is it for Second String. We're going to get into For the Culture. And I just wanted to ask, have you watched the Diddy documentary on Netflix?
I have not. I've seen a lot about it. I haven't watched it. I've seen some people say that they could only get through maybe one episode or one episode and a half just because of the nature of the content. But I've seen a lot about it. And what I've seen in the online discourse, it makes me even more sick than what we already know.
So
Plus, it's coming from 50 Cent, who has his own issues, who has his own sexual assault and domestic violence issues, and has this beef with Puff anyway.
So that aside, the documentary is done very well. I've watched it. It was done very well. It shed, I don't say shed light. It gave
context, maybe?
It added more details to the things we already knew.
Okay.
We already knew Diddy was back and forth between Kim Porter and Cassie. We already
and then he had
knew,
his other side chicks on the side.
Right. We kind of already knew that, but he gives I guess context. Yeah. It gives more context, but it also adds more details and to paint the picture of the type of person Diddy was, which again, that's what documentaries do. But this one seems different because we lived through this stuff, right? So a lot of people say, I already knew that, but there are some things that I did not know, right? And it adds to, that makes sense. That, you know what I'm saying?
That makes logical sense. Why did I think of that? Yeah.
Right. So they in the beginning, they kind of talk about Diddy's upbringing, and they talk about his mom and his dad, some of the issues that could have been baked into who Diddy is now.
Mhm.
The documentary in general kind of centers around, as you can imagine, Diddy's narcissistic megalomaniac.
Psychopathic, egotistical, all those things.
Right, right. They mention, not just the women he's been in connection with, how he got them.
Yeah.
Like,
They're all ex-girlfriends of people that he's
somebody else
competing
in
against.
the industry,
It's,
right?
like, wild. Like, he goes
Yeah,
against them after the other person.
yeah. So, that, and then I think the biggest things that people are yay or nay on
Mhm.
is Diddy being behind both Tupac and
And
Biggie's
Biggie's
murders,
murder. Yeah.
right? That is they they set the stage. They don't point directly to Diddy, but they after
Give enough inference.
where you'd be like, "Oh, again, that makes
You
sense.
put 2 and 2 together.
I can understand why
Yeah.
Biggie was hesitant about going out there and Puffy pushing him, and when Biggie was
Canceling
ready to
flights,
go,
making you
Diddy
go.
stalling, so he,
Yeah.
like, literally was stuck to where
Had
he
no choice.
and then, tragedy strikes, right? Same thing with Tupac,
Yeah.
all the stories and the people who, there's one guy who was awaiting trial for Tupac's murder. They, in the documentary, they play a good portion of his conversations with police.
Mhm.
And after that dude's talking, it's like, oh yeah, I could see why you can make the reach that Diddy has something to do with Tupac's murder,
Yeah.
right? We kind of already knew that, but they just add extra stuff, right? And
Yeah.
then it switches to, they kind of talk about his rise of fame,
Mhm.
how his involvement with Howard and his involvement with New York and some of the incidents that happened with those things.
Mhm.
And then they switch to, his um relationships with all these different women, and then
Mhm.
the sexual domestic, all the things that came up in the trial, right?
Mhm.
What I thought was interesting and I thought was karma, right?
Mhm.
Diddy has been known, same thing with Donald Trump, has been known with making partnerships with people and
Not paying 'em.
grifting them, not paying them. Right? So they time and time and time again, they bring up people who say, yeah, Diddy was supposed to do this and we were doing that. And I hung around and all the stuff that he was doing, I was trying to ignore it, or I was trying to put it in the back of my mind because I'm trying to get put on. Right?
Right.
That's the general consensus is that was crazy, but at the time he was the man. So you just had
I
to
had to get this money. I'm trying to get into the industry.
blindfold,
Yeah.
horse
I don't see it.
blinders.
I don't see it. Yeah.
And then it happened to them. They're kind of like, man, I should have, whatever, right? What I thought was so interesting, right, is throughout the documentary, they are showing pre-trial footage
Mhm.
from Diddy,
Mhm.
right? Because according to the story, he was putting together his own thing, whether it
This
be
was his
documentary,
PR campaign because
whatever.
he thought this Negro thought he was getting off. So he
Right,
had this whole campaign plan to
right.
rehabilitate himself.
So what I thought was interesting about
Mhm.
that is how did 50 and
And
these
Netflix.
producers
Yeah.
come up with this footage that clearly Diddy recorded.
Right.
There's no way on earth that Diddy would give this over to 50 Cent to
Right.
anybody else because of
The
it's
nature of the content.
right. So, in my speculation, how they got it was the videographer recorded all this footage and Diddy did not pay him.
And honestly, that's what it was.
Right.
The production company, he
Right.
never paid them.
So that's my property. I own it. I'm going to sell it to Netflix
And
and 50
Netflix
Cent
bought it.
in them, and they bought it. So the fact that Diddy was so evil
And
to
cheap.
his bit and cheap to his people who he was working with ended up adding to his demise
Yep.
because while he's only in prison for 3 to 5 years, the court of public opinion now with this documentary out and him like in the
And literally
pre-trial thing,
everybody's talking about it.
and not just that, like the content, right? The
Yeah.
inside of
It
it,
was
because
bad. The clips I saw, I was like,
there's a
what was this man thinking?
there's a clip where he is, oh, I'm a man of the people. I'm going out and being around the people, and people coming up to him, give him hugs, shake his hands, take pictures. He gets in the car and was like, yo, I need some hand sanitizer, man. I'm touching on all these people and I need to wipe my hands down. And that is in the documentary.
Him
And
and
it's,
Donald Trump are the same person.
ain't that crazy? And I thought that was so interesting that his attitude toward how he did business added to his demise, because you just could have been, if you'd have just been a little bit nicer to people and just pay these people, you could have, at the very least, if you're going to drag these people and do all these crazy things, pay them people. He
But
was.
again, he's such a megalomaniac
Mhm,
that he doesn't think that anybody would go against him. And I honestly, being in jail is bad. I've
mhm,
never been close, don't want to.
mhm,
I was getting my gun license, and
mhm,
I went to the jail instead of the other place I was supposed to go to.
mhm,
And just walking through the door, I was traumatized. And the
mhm,
lady who works the door, she was like, "Ma'am, you're not supposed to be here, are you?" And I was like, um, it says I'm supposed to be XYZ. So I say all that to say, I don't, I'm not built for that.
right.
But I think him being the person that he is, and I've seen some video, they've been recording video of him in the prison,
No,
he
I see
still
that.
is like kind of that gravitas about him. I
Mhm,
think jail isn't the thing that is going to do him the most harm. I
mhm,
think the hit to his reputation, the
mhm.
people not fearing him or reveling or adoring him,
Or willing
I
to do
think.
business with him.
Right. I think that is going to be the biggest gut push to him, similar
Mhm,
to Donald Trump. When people don't like him or people don't want him to use their music
mhm,
in his ads and they reject him, I think the rejection that he's
mhm.
going to get from his adoring fans or once adoring fans, or the the um
Adoration.
the adoration that he got, or the way people looked up to him,
Mhm,
not just business people, but regular everyday people. I think him losing that is going to be more detrimental and be more punishment to him than
mhm,
actually being in jail. Don't get me wrong, he should be in jail and he should
mhm,
be in jail for a really long time. But
mhm,
him being the person that he is, I think the true damage, the true comeuppance, if you call it that, to him is going to be when he gets out and he's going to be a leper. There are
mhm.
going to be, of course, some people who still try and
With him.
do
Yeah.
whatever. Because I think Marlon Wayans has said some stuff about the stuff with the documentary, and people, of course, his mom, all these people, but the mass, you know, people, the mass conglomerate of people, they're
Mhm.
not gonna have nothing for this man.
Well, so
Nobody is gonna be want to touch him or be associated with him, and I think that's going to be when he really feels
I
the consequences of his actions.
so I believe there's gonna be fans out there that's gonna rock with him
Oh yeah,
regardless.
the same way they do R. Kelly. Absolutely.
Um, the problem is going to be that the people he does business with are not gonna wanna touch him with a 10-foot pole
Yeah.
because of him and the
The
stuff
stigma.
that follows him around, and I think that is what's going to, now he's probably got money on top of money on top of money, so he'll be fine, but the moves that he was able to make so easily with creating Sean John and creating Revolt and all the stuff
Ciroc,
with Bad
Vendetta,
Boy
all
and
the stuff.
Ciroc, all those things. I was like, dang, Diddy, you were, I mean, the moves he was making
Like,
with,
you could have paid them people. You had the money. You just stingy. Like, my guy. Come on.
so as a result, them partnerships, them deals that he was very easily and very, very proud of himself for making are
Yes.
not going to come so easy. And we're going to see how him as a hustler, as a work, or his work ethic, his ability to make some of these moves is going to be affected by the stink
Yeah.
that comes with him, right?
He might as well move to Cuba or something, because again, there are going to be some fans who, still are on that. But for a megalomaniac like him, not having the adoration of people as in fans and the adoration of the business and the financial community, I think that's going to be the biggest, you
We
know,
shall see
consequence to him.
because
But I think he should be in jail for longer.
Yeah, but we shall see, because unfortunately, black people are very forgiving, and their people have been welcomed back with open arms,
Yeah.
So we shall see.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for the culture. We're going to move into the hookup, and I thought this was interesting, so I thought I'd share it with you all. So now with macOS Tahoe, with macOS 26, I don't know how people do folders anymore because everything is in the cloud. But if you're still using, creating, organizing your documents, your data, your videos, your pictures on your Mac using the Finder and the file system
I do.
within Mac, now you can actually, for a little punch, a little stand outishness, if that's a word.
Little gravitas.
Yeah. You can now finally change the color of your folders. You can also badge them with icons or emoji to help differentiate files, folders, projects, and things like that. So basically, what you do is you open up the Finder. If you want to change the or customize a folder, you got to control. So hold control and then click on the folder. It'll pull up the contextual menu, and you can choose colors. Again, you can choose icons, like when you're, for example, if you're creating a reminder and you don't want to use the default reminder icon, you can change it to a car, or you can change it to a school, or you can change it to a business.
Hmm.
Same thing with the Finder options. As far as the icons for the folder, you can change it to family if it's a family folder. You can change it to business if it's a work, or you run a business. You can change the icon of that folder, so when you go back and look at your Finder, your folder hierarchy, that folder will stick out in addition to changing the color. So I just think that's a cool little tip,
Hmm.
to where if you want to increase functionality, or not functionality, you want to increase what's the word? Productivity. That's the word. If you want to increase productivity on your Mac by quickly being be able to identify different folders versus just looking at the names, this hookup is for you.
So I knew about the color thing because I have different colors on my folders now, but I did not know about the icons or emojis. I may have
Yep.
to go and play around with that.
Yep. All right, so that's going to do it for the hookup, and that means that's going to do it for this week's show. Nica, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva everywhere.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH. To connect, comment, share, and support with the show, please go to snoboscast.com. You can also listen to the show if you go to snoboscast.com to get all those details. We want to thank you for your support. If you want to support the show financially, please go to patreon.com/snoboscast. Become a member of our snobist community. You can listen to the show early. You can listen to the show live. And we're adding additional content in Patreon that's Apple and technology centric. So to get all that, got to become a Patreon subscriber. So please go to patreon.com/snoboscast to do that. And until next week, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.